For many years, it has been abundantly clear that immersion, is an excellent program. That's not what I'm supposed to be saying. For many years, it has been abundantly clear that core French is not an effective program, particularly in the primary and elementary grades. In 2002, we started collecting empirical data in New Brunswick in order to see what the results were after 4 years of core French. Data were collected based on an individual oral interview using the New Brunswick Middle School scale. A score of 11, 12, or 13 means basically no ability to communicate. Testing in New Brunswick on nearly 700 students showed that only 2% were able to communicate spontaneously after 4 years, or 360 hours, of instruction. Testing undertaken in other provinces and territories replicated these results. Students in core French at the end of elementary school, no matter how many years of previous instruction in French, are unable to communicate spontaneously. The popular assumption, the earlier the better, is not substantiated by the data. Core French also, unfortunately, contributes to the development of negative attitudes towards learning French. In fact, core French in its present form may be our greatest impediment to attaining linguistic duality in Canada. The effects of core French are not the fault of the teachers, however, or the students, but the assumptions underlying the program. Intensive French has been in schools now for 10 years. The program was first implemented, as I all know, in Newfoundland and Labrador in 1998. It was implemented in order to improve the learning of French for the students in the regular core program, and these students represent, as many of you know, the majority of FL students in Canada. What is intensive French? It's a literacy-based approach to the teaching of French as a second language. It's organized over 2 semesters in the school system, and language instruction is included in the non-intensive semester. More details about the program can be found in the special issue of the Canadian Modern Language Review on intensive French in Canada, which was issued in February 2004. Intensive French is a research-based program. It's not a grassroots program like immersion. It is, in fact, the only FSL program in Canada that is founded in SL acquisition theory and research. It became apparent to us that the 3 essential elements of successful communicative programs were language use, intensity, and teaching strategies when we studied programs that were successful. We've also based our program on 3 major theoretical foundations. Paradis, McGill University, whose neurological foundations for bilingualism reinforce Stern's view on the importance of language use. According to Paradis, the only way to learn how to communicate orally is by focusing attention on something other than the language being learned. In immersion, students focus on their subjects. In intensive French, students focus on a project. Since 1998, intensive French has been characterized by its project-based approach, which is a necessary but not a sufficient condition for a successful program. Our other 2 foundations are Cummings' Interdependence of Languages hypothesis and Vygotsky and his hypotheses about cognitive development. Again, for more of this, we would have to read our articles. Results of the program are extremely positive. In one the province, based on oral interviews given to 655 students, after 5 months in intensive French, 72% of the students are able to communicate spontaneously. 14 is the beginning of spontaneous communication on the middle school scale. These results are replicated in all the other participating provinces and territories. Students are also able to write a composition at a level similar to Quebec Francophones between grades 2 and 3, and students show a much more positive attitude towards learning French. During the last 5 years, most of our time has been devoted to the development of post-intensive French in Canada. Post-intensive French consists of blocked periods of French twice a week to maintain some intensity, and it's also necessary to continue using the same type of teaching strategies for oral, language, and literacy development as those used in intensive French, and to use an appropriate curriculum based on projects. Results of post-intensive French bring students to a level of at least basic mid by the end of grade 6, basic high by the end of grade 7, and intermediate by the end of grade 9. These results suggest that intensive French students will reach at least a level of intermediate plus or beyond by the end of grade 12, and will be able to function successfully in French on graduation from high school. Now, what are the conditions that make this program so successful? Basically, it's the intensity, but also the pedagogy. Intensity enables us to go up one level on the scale. Pedagogy enables us to go up 2 or 3, or we have some children who have gone up 4 levels. For intensity, we need at least 300 hours in the first 5 months. Our research has shown that any less will not result in spontaneous communication, and without spontaneous communication, students are not motivated to continue. For the pedagogy, we need the appropriate curriculum, and we also need new strategies for teaching oral development, which we have conceived based on French second language acquisition theory and research. And we also use literacy-based strategies for the teaching of reading and writing, so that we have a literacy approach: oral, reading, writing. And the literacy strategies are not new. They've been adapted from the first language primary classroom. Intensive French is currently being implemented in all provinces and territories except Quebec and Nunavut. Over 15,000 students have been enrolled in the program since its inception, and the numbers are increasing rapidly. The teaching strategies, innovative as they are, have already had an impact on improving intensive French in other provinces. They have been used to improve the immersion program in New Brunswick, in an experience that is going on there. They've been used to improve the regular core program in Nova Scotia, and an experience going on there. Thus, for us, it's important, I think, to realize that the achievement of linguistic duality at the moment is being promoted primarily by departments of education and district FSL consultants. Unfortunately, faculties of education and FSL researchers are still focused on language forms and grammar, and are not thinking so much about the need to develop a pedagogy for the teaching of communication. As far as we can foresee, intensive French with immersion is the best option to achieve the goal of the federal government. Won't be achieved by 2013, but the first cohort might go through by 2015. And we would like to show you, just very briefly, some practical results of intensive French. The first small clip is from British Columbia, where the program is being implemented. The second is from New Brunswick. And it is important to realize that the conversations are not rehearsed or memorized in any way. Students have just learned the information that they are sharing in the conversations in the previous preparation, but we can't show all of that to you right now. Okay. Oui, certainement.
Qu'est-ce que tu as fait hier soir? Hier soir, j'ai lu un livre et j'ai joué au badminton. Qu'est-ce que tu as fait hier soir? Hier soir, j'ai regardé Oprah et America's Next Top Model. Oui, c'est tout. Pose la question de quelqu'un qui a les cheveux noirs. Glenn, qu'est-ce que tu as fait hier soir? Hier soir, je suis allée à la maison de Bailey et nous avons joué Warcraft. Pose la question de quelqu'un qui a les cheveux noirs, un t-shirt rose, un chandail blanc et des chaussures blancs. Il a joué un jeu de vidéo avec Billy et Daniel pour 3 heures.
Pendant 3 heures.
Pendant 3 heures.
C'est beaucoup.
Oh, yeah, another one?
Important pour toi. Ce qui est important pour moi, c'est mon oncle Glenn. Pourquoi ton oncle Glenn? Mon oncle Glenn est important pour moi parce qu'il est noble et il est riche. Et quand je pense qu'il a fait beaucoup de choses quand la personne dit qu'il ne peut pas. Qu'il ne pouvait pas. Qu'il ne pouvait pas. Qui est important dans la vie de Jordan? Qui est important pour Jordan? C'est sa grand-maman? Non, c'est qui? Qu'est-ce que tu as dit?
Il a dit belle-mère.
Oh, c'est sa belle-mère! Je m'excuse, j'ai pensé que tu as dit grand-mère.
Une personne qui est importante dans la vie de Marissa, c'est sa grand-mère parce qu'elle a enseigné de faire la cuisine.
À faire la cuisine. Très bien, excellent. Important dans la vie de Scott, Dylan.
Une personne importante dans la vie de Scott, c'est son cousin Christopher, parce que elle fait beaucoup de choses.
I'd just like to mention, if I may, that the little fellow with the red shirt obviously is one of the children who has a teacher assistant with him all of the time. We have about 20% of children of that nature in the program in one of the provinces in which we operate.